Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alana and today you'll be joining me with a book unhaul. So next month we will be moving into our brand new house and that means that I have to cart 4 full shelves worth of books with me to another place. And that's starting to feel very daunting. So to try and ease the load slightly, I thought I would find a book unhaul challenge to complete, and here we are. So Books and Lala actually did create a book unhaul challenge tag 2 years ago, and on that there are 10 different prompts in order to get rid of some books. So I will leave her original video tagged down below if you want to check that out, and we're going to unhaul some books. Let's do it. So the first unhaul prompt is to unhaul a book you rated low. Okay, for this I'm going to go with a book that I rated low a few years ago now and one that I rated low quite recently. So the first one is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. With this series, I feel like you are either someone that really loves the series or someone that despises it. As you could probably tell already, I fall into that second category. I find this series personally to just be very problematic. I have since finished the series as well, so I did give it a go. I finished the other 2 books via the audiobooks, they were much of the same. The second book had the same pacing problems as this one, and the third book, I only really liked the last third of that book, but overall, really didn't like this series, really didn't enjoy this first book, and I rated this quite low when I did first read it when I got it back in a subscription box. And that's probably the reason why I haven't gotten rid of this so far, was because it did come with a letter from the author and a signed book plate as well, so whoever's getting this book, you can enjoy those things. I should also briefly mention as well that I'm going to be donating all of these books to a local school near me so that other people can enjoy them, because just because I didn't enjoy them doesn't mean that they won't become someone else's favourites. And moving on to the one that I recently read that I rated low, Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. There is an audience for this series, and it's not me. This is a YA dark sort of fantasy where there's blood mages and then saints and gods and these warring nations, and it sounded like something I would really enjoy until the book really didn't do much for me. I've talked about this in a wrap-up and somewhere else as well, I think, and I just, no, I didn't enjoy this. I also found it to have very similar elements to Shadow and Bone in parts, with the villain and even certain scenes, and I don't know if that's just because it's inspired by like a similar, I want to say Russian type folklore. I could be wrong with that, so don't quote me, but like similar vibes in it that just made this feel like I was rereading certain parts out of Shadow and Bone, and the parts too that I didn't enjoy, so there's that. So unhaul prompt number 1 goes to these 2. Prompt number 2 is a book you changed your mind about. Now this one I did struggle a little bit with, because if I don't like something, I very clearly don't like it, or if I do, I do. I don't usually change my mind very often with it, so had a bit of a time trying to pick for this one. But the one that I did choose was the Leigh Bardugo take on Wonder Woman Warbringer. When I first read this, it didn't hit as hard as I wanted it to anyway, so this isn't really me changing my mind as such. It's me saying maybe I don't need to collect every single Leigh Bardugo book to enjoy her as an author. This one was fine. I just didn't really connect with it, and it was a long time since I've read this, so to be honest, I can't really remember many of my criticisms, just that it wasn't all there for me. Okay, so the next prompt is a series you won't be finishing. There are a few. So for this one, I picked 3, but to be honest, I could have picked more, but this is a step in the right direction. So I picked Dorothy Must Die by Danielle Page. This wasn't a bad book. It was just one that, again, I think I gave it like a 3.5 stars. It was a middle of the road. I read this a long time ago, and I'm not all that curious to see where the next book goes. Then we have 2 book subscription box picks, and for me, their picks are very hit and miss. So 2 that were misses were Beyond a Darkened Shore by Jessica Leigh. I didn't enjoy this one when I first read it. I just think it was trying to cram too many different like mythology based stories into the one. There was too much going on in here and not enough focus on characterization and storyline and just developing something that can stand on its own. So I didn't enjoy this one. I think there's another book maybe set in the same universe or carrying on from this. I can't remember. I'll pop a picture of it here. Don't want to get to that one. Don't ever want to reread this one again. So again, this really beautiful edition, which has a signed book plate in it, will be going to a local school for them to enjoy. And then I have Amber and Dusk. This was actually a book that I got in my last subscription box that I purchased back last year, I think. And this is by Leigh Bardugo. And I don't know, this read very typical YA fantasy-esque. It had some of my favorite things in it, like a royalty-based structure and a girl that has to come through and dislodge that element a little bit, as well as powers and things like that, but it didn't work for me. This led off with the opportunity to have a sequel, and I'm fine not reading that. I have already too much that I need to get to. Prompt number 4 is a book that you DNF'd or did not finish, and I have 2 for this. The first one being Hot Dog Girl by Jennifer Dugan. If you watched my Reading Rush vlog, you would have seen that I pushed myself to get to the 100-page mark in this, and then I couldn't push myself any further. This is a summer romance type contemporary YA story, and the 100 pages that I got had a reluctant main character who did not want to grow at all. She thought that in order to have the best summer ever, she had to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and that theme just did not vibe with me whatsoever, because I think that should be a thing of the past. I think we should just enjoy summer without this great expectation of a romantic attachment. So this one can just be gone. And then I have one that I DNF'd quite a few years ago now. I just lost interest, and that is Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. Like I said, not a bad book, but I also watched the movie like multiple times before I picked up the book, and I love Julia Roberts in that role. I love that movie. It was so just inspiring to watch. It made me cry a few times, and then I picked up the book, and I should have done it in the other order because I knew where the story was going, and I just couldn't put the energy into reading this with my eyeballs. Also, it looks like I DNF'd this on page 133, so I gave it a try, but not for me. Next up is a book that you own multiple copies of. Now, I don't tend to do this just because I know if I start to collect multiple editions of books, I won't be able to stop. So for self-preservation, this is something that I don't usually do. But in this instance, I am going to get rid of my paperback copy of Lifelike by J. Kristoff because I don't love this color, and I did buy the hard copy when J. Kristoff did a signing down in Sydney last year, which was amazing. So this one is actually signed, I think. Yep, signed and personalized to myself, and it is just, I love this cover in the hardback. This one actually is also signed because I think I got this from, yeah, Booktopia back in the day, but this one is more beautiful than this one, so really sorry, I'm gonna have to get rid of this. This story was a lot of fun to read, and like this cover says, it's a mix between Romeo and Juliet, Mad Max, Blade Runner, everything like that squished into one. It's YA sci-fi with powers and abilities and this real Mad Max vibe. Like, it's nearly steampunk but not quite. It's grimy and amazing. So this one is gonna go because I am fortunate enough to have a nicer copy. This next prompt I feel very called out by, and it is a book that you're never actually going to get around to. Look, there are a few, but the main ones I feel very bad about too, and that is the Miss Peregrines series by Ransom Riggs. I actually asked for these for a birthday like a few years ago when the movie was really big, but I did that thing again where I watched the movie before I read the books, and that's really bad for my determination to finish the books, because if I've watched the movie first, I know it's terrible to say, but I pretty much know what's going to happen. So unfortunately, I have had these on my shelves for years now. I'm gonna say at least 2 or 3, and I've never gotten around to them, and I don't think I ever will. So these will be going. Another one which the exact same thing happened with, and which I really actually enjoyed this movie adaptation too, but I've heard it's different to the book, and that is Beautiful Creatures. Also, this cover, don't like it. I don't like film tie-in covers. I don't think I'm alone when I say that, but that's another reason why this isn't getting picked up. But again, the main one being I watched the movie first and I'm lazy, and this has been on my shelf for years. I think this actually moved into state with me. Like, it's been with me for a while now, and I haven't picked it up. Okay, so moving on. A book you bought because of the hype. Seafire by Natalie C. Parker. I bought this at the Veronica Roth event that happened down in Sydney again last year, I think. Last year was a great time for author events, and this year just sucks. But anyway, I remember seeing this in a few sub boxes, I think, and also it just ended up in everyone's Bookstagram photos around the time when, like, the seafaring and mermaids and stuff was really big. So I thought, hey, I'll buy this. And I actually got around to this year, and it wasn't my favorite. I don't think this was original enough, and it didn't do much, in my opinion. I could see what it was trying to do, and again, some people will say that it did, but for me, not so much. It's also that case of I think I am outgrowing YA fantasy, and I'm getting very picky with what YA fantasy I do pick up. And yeah, sorry, but you'll be going to somewhere that will probably enjoy you, so there's that. Okay, only 3 more to go. The next one is a book you bought because of the cover, and that one is the short story collection by H.G. Wells. This is stunning. It's also part of that phase where I thought in order to be doing an English major, I had to be more aware of the classics and the classic authors, and I'm never going to read this, let's be honest. Also, I already have 2 H.G. Wells books on my shelves, and they're the small editions, so I've read one. If I read the other, I might try more, but for now, I don't need this big compilation of his works because I barely read him as it is. Okay, next up we have a book you barely know anything about. Again, feeling called out, but that's fine. And I'm going to pick Some Days, a memoir by Lucy Moffat. This was sent to me by the publisher. This is Elephant Tree Publishing, so if this cover does anything for you, definitely check them out. This is one that I always tried to read the blurb of, but never got a clear picture of what it was about, what genre it was, and that just put me off. So unfortunately, I'm very sorry, but this will go to a better place, and that place will not be with me in the new house. And then the last prompt is a book you did not buy, and for this one, I'm going to say The Iron Trial by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. This was given to me by someone at work, and they had a whole bunch of books that they were giving away that they thought I might like to try. I tried a few of them. This is one that I just don't think I'll be getting around to. I say that because Holly Black, as you saw at the start of this video, I did not enjoy The Cruel Prince, and I know that she's written a whole bunch of other things, but I just don't care enough to try another one of her books at this particular stage in my life. Cassandra Clare also, she is a bit hit and miss with me because her writing style is very easy to read, but I don't vibe with some of her characters. So for me, 2 authors that I don't usually read do not make a right. Also, this is part of a series, and I really need to knuckle down and finish some series on my shelves before I start new ones. I say that, and yet next week I'll probably pick up a book that's at the beginning of another series. So that's it. This tag has successfully helped me unhaul 17 books from my shelves. So that's, I would say, pretty much a whole shelf that I don't have to move now to the new house. So that's a win for me. And yeah, I'm very happy to be able to give these to a local school who can enjoy them more than I can. So don't forget to check out Kayla's original tag video in the description down below. Comment down below if you saw one of your favorite books in this unhaul, and give me one reason why I should keep it before I do run off to a local school. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me once again, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!